Diana Vergovichova is the founder and CEO of Atoms, a deep tech company that combines patented quantum chemistry and artificial intelligence. Thanks, Dona. And Gulmina Malikzadeh is the head of the project management department at Azerbaijan's Center for the Fourth Industrial Revolution, or C4IR. And a big welcome to you all. Can I just say to the audience that our excellent panelists have traveled from far and wide to be here: Nigeria, London, Azerbaijan, and Canada. So thank you so much for making the time. Blessing, can I begin with you, because you've got such a fascinating background. Your work is focused on empowering the youth on the African continent, which is no mean feat, but you've also worked internationally as well. Can we begin by just giving us an understanding of how you came here and what your work is about?
Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. My name is Blessing Abeng. I am a branding and communications expert, and I've done this in so many interesting ways. I have been the co-founder and CMO of a tech company that eventually got acquired by a unicorn. I also co-founded a tech nonprofit that you just spoke about, where we trained 130,000 African youths with tech skills across all of Africa and empowered a lot of them with jobs. And right now, I'm really focused on building a narrative bridge between Africa and the rest of the world, especially to attract funding. But tech is a part that is really close to my heart, and I guess that's why I'm here, to have this conversation, because the world is changing and it's evolving, and everyone is scared that they might be replaced. But I want to leave us with, if you don't remember anything else, remember that tech is a tool, and humans are always going to be in control of the tool. You decide how your tool is used. And so don't feel fear. You're in a very unique position, and yeah, I'm rooting for you.
And can I also mention, I think Blessing was too modest to say, but she's also the UN 100 most influential people of African descent under 40, and Y-Nature's 100 most powerful youths in Nigeria, as well as being the UK Africa Achievers Award recipient. So a very accomplished person. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Diana, can I get a bit about your background as well? Atoms, I mean, what a fascinating company. It's probably way too advanced for someone like me to understand, but if you could explain to our audience what your company is, how it got started, and why you decided to start Atoms.
Amazing, thank you so much. Yes, so I'm a CEO and a co-founder of a company called Atoms. We're a deep tech company where we use our patented software based on AI and quantum chemistry to computationally discover new molecules of these materials called photocatalysts. And photocatalysts are these powders which, when put to contaminated water and exposed to any visible light, such as sunlight, can turn this dirty water into clean and safe drinking water. So we have projects across Kenya, South Africa, Canada, and US. We've cleaned water for over 106,000 people up to date. And my story actually started when I was 14, and my mom and I went backpacking Asia. And that was when I, for the first time ever, saw black rivers and water pollution, and I decided I wanted to do something about that. So coming to my home country, Slovakia, I started working on my first research, and then at 17, I discovered my first molecule of this water cleaning material. I won an award from the Swedish royal family, which brought me on a full scholarship to study in Canada, where I studied Atoms.
Amazing, wow. And before we continue, can I just mention that the workshop has started, so if any of you are going along to that or have signed up for that, please head to the workshop area. Thank you. Thank you so much, Diana. Now, Gulmina, your organization is focused on the fourth industrial revolution. So can I just mention that Industry 5.0 is essentially the fifth wave of the industrial revolution. So the first wave, the first industrial revolution, was powered by steam. The second happened with the introduction of electricity. The third happened with automation, production lines, things like that. And the fourth was focused on the introduction of computers, AI tech, the Internet of Things, and things like that. So your organization, CIR4, is focused on the fourth industrial revolution. Tell us more about that and how you came to be involved.
Thank you very much. Thanks for this productive session. So our organization is under the Ministry of Economy, and we are also part of World Economic Forum C4IR network. We are trying within our directions to promote the implementation of fourth industrial technologies in the world. At the same time, development of the human capital, how we can make people more digital skills in order to use, to know the importance of the usage of these technologies. At the same time, the global cooperation is one of our main directions. So, and personally, I have studied in South Korea. I did my master in e-government. So, and I am happy actually to be, at the same time, I'm giving lectures to two local universities in Azerbaijan. So I always was happy to work with young people, considering the audience, most of the audience here is the academic institutions. So one of the main goal for our center is firstly to give public awareness, to raise public awareness of the implementation of technology, then the implementation process, kind of giving roadmaps to companies, to government organizations, and at the same time, how we can just scale up this kind of projects globally. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, Blessing, can I ask you the first question about Industry 5.0? Because a lot of people here probably haven't heard of that term because it's only recently started to be used. But from what I understand, it refers to basically refocusing the workplace, industry, business, companies on the workers themselves. So in the midst of all this technology of AI, robots, computers, all this tech, that at the end of the day, we still remember that the workers are at the heart of this. So tell us how you're incorporating Industry 5.0 with your work.
Oh, that's a great question. How many of us use ChatGPT right now? Okay. How many people use Claude? Claude.ai. Okay, less people. How many people use AI agents? Okay, less people. But AI agents sort of embody what Industry 5.0 is. A lot of the reasons why we're using ChatGPT, if you think about it, is because you are trying to take away the brainstorming, the monotonous work. A lot of times in all of our businesses, one of the biggest pain points is responding to emails, right?
Yes.
How many of us are tired
of
responding to emails? But you can't get away with it, you have to. So think about having technology as like your personal assistant, helping you handle the monotonous tasks while you focus more on the more strategic, high-level things. That is really what Industry 5.0 is. It's putting you at the heart and center and ensuring that the monotonous work, the day-to-day activities, you can forget about that and focus more, well, not forget, but like get that done without worrying about whether or not it's getting done, and then focus more on decision-making, ethical thinking, ethical considerations. It was really important at the time for us to have those a lot of automations happen, right? Automations around, your emails being responded to, automations around, different things, coming up with ideas, pulling data together and making sense of that data. But then when you go past having to do those tiny little painstaking tasks, and now you can focus more on bigger picture things, like one of the good examples would be the GDP. I personally think that the GDP, or rather, there's been a lot of conversations around the GDP not being the most efficient way to gauge economies, because it doesn't pay attention. It pays attention only to the revenues, but it doesn't pay attention to what is being lost. It's like, yes, we're making XYZ money with oil, but then what are we losing? How is this affecting the environment? How is this hurting the environment? And nobody is really tracking that because there's almost no way to track it. But with Industry 5.0, we can still figure out how to get that revenue, but figure out how to get oil in a better way, in a way that doesn't hurt the economy. We can figure out how to automate things without sacrificing climate, without sacrificing people's mental health. We focus on what really matters and get rid of the noise. And really, if you think about it, Industry 5.0 is here to help you, which is why it's a co-creation tool. And that's one of the things that I've been championing, more ethical leadership, we're more in control. I think that's the best way to say it. We are more in control. And the things that we can think about in terms of emotion, in terms of ethics, that the machines don't care about because it's X plus Y equals Z, we humans can control that. In terms of creativity, how many of us have tried to generate a picture with AI and it looks wonky? Yeah, but we human beings can now regulate that and say, okay, this doesn't really look human enough. This film we wrote doesn't really emote, and we can focus on that and get the best out of technology while still maintaining ourselves as human beings.
Diana, you were awarded the Forbes 30 Under 30 in North America, and we know Forbes is ultimately a business company magazine, but you were basically awarded that because you've managed to merge business with doing good in the world. And as you say, you were inspired to use AI technology, quantum chemistry, to help purify water in places where that's still a problem. Explain to us how you're working to, I guess, create a human-centered organization at X-Atoms.
Yeah, thank you. Well, I am an engineer. I'm a computer engineer myself. So when I started my degree back in 2020, I've seen a huge switch of, the AI revolution and all of these things coming, and really finding solutions which can benefit the human. And when I started X-Atoms, my goal was to purify water for people and solve the problem of water pollution, and also focus on women and girls that spend hours every single day searching for clean water and send them back to schools. So I really wanted to figure out how we can use the newest technology to solve this problem. And so my work actually started in a lab in Toronto, in Canada. And we are currently a team of 10 full-time employees, and we are discovering these materials which can purify water. We first use a computer to discover these new molecules, and then once we have identified the correct molecule, then we are able to manufacture materials and then send them to places and send them to communities. How we use AI, for us, it was collecting the huge data sets. So we have close to 1 million molecules on our data set, and we search for their properties. We search if this molecule is going to be able to eliminate specific contaminant from water. We focus on contaminants such as E. coli, cholera, agricultural pesticides, and then we use quantum computing to simulate new molecules. And this helps us to understand the molecules on very atomic level. And then once we have these candidates, we then manufacture them. We connect with communities. We go learn what their needs are. Our team has spent extensive amount of time in Kenya. We spend time in South Africa. We spend time living with indigenous communities in Canada. Actually, Canada has a huge problem when it comes to water. Still, that's unknown, but many communities, specifically in the north, still don't have clean water, sometimes have to drink water which has 10 times higher levels of E. coli than is the allowed limit. So we really focus on bringing this complex technology to the communities that need it the most. And last year we were able to accomplish that. And we've been significantly growing. And yeah, making it on the Forbes 30 Under 30 list was just a proof that we've done some good work, but we also are the youngest on the list. We are 21, 22, and 23 as co-founders, so we're a very young team, and I'm very grateful for all the opportunities, but we're proof that no matter how young you are, you can still accomplish great things.
That's excellent. Gulmina, you've worked on the international stage with a number of multilateral organizations, the United Nations, the OECD, the World Economic Forum. I'm wondering if you can give us an insight at that level, how they're discussing this concept of Industry 5.0, this idea of basically refocusing enterprise to look at the workers themselves, and in an era when a lot of people are worried that perhaps, you know, we might not be able to do the jobs that we once did because of AI, because of robots, because of tech. So what are they saying at the highest levels about that?
Thank you very much. In my opinion, the Industry 5.0 is just next stage of the industrial transformation, where it's not about how the technology makes things faster or easier, it's how the technology can help the people to make their life better. So it's in the previous industrial transformation, actually the humans and automation and machines, they somehow replace the human work. But the 5.0 encompasses that how human and machines, they can work together better for the well-being of the people. So it's just shift toward building systems, services that are human-centered, so the people still they play key role at the center. And sustainable, it's where we care about our planet and at the same time resilient. So it's just how we're adapting this kind of technology. So there are, as you mentioned, that the big organizations, they are calling some big challenges and critical shifts in the world. So the first one, I would say, it's the technological maturity. So far, governments, the companies, they created the technology, they implemented different kind of solutions, but now it's time to use it for the well-being of the people, so how they can better use this technology. On the other hand, the workforce dynamics are changing. We know that new generations, they demand the personal fulfillment, flexible work environment. So this also is a great call for the world globally to build reskilling and upskilling programs. I would like to just give interesting statistics from the Future of Job reports, which has been published recently by World Economic Forum. And it says that in the next 5 years, 39 of new skills will be created in the job market. So specialization kind of AI engineers, data analytics, data scientists will be new jobs that will be created in the job market. And at the same time, there is a critical call that 92 million jobs will be lost between 2025 and 2023. So this is also a call for the companies and the businesses and the governments to reskill and upskill the people. At the same time, the world is unpredictable. We know that COVID-19 showed us that supply chain also can break there. So Industry 5.0 aligned here to create the agile, to bring agile approach to the businesses as well, like smart logistics and smart production at the same time. But it doesn't matter what kind of technology we use, actually. It depends how the human factor shouldn't be excluded in this. For example, we can use AI in food plants for evaluating, for monitoring the quality. But the final call will be made by people. Or digital twin technologies. We know that it can be applied in energy sector, in smart cities and smart villages concept. But the technology is there to predict the problems beforehand, but the human feedback is there to optimize the process. So wrapping up the shifts that I already mentioned, so I think the Industry 5.3 is not just a technological upgrade, it's also a psychological evolution. So businesses will need to build this resilient and the relevance in the eyes of society, their approach, their solutions, their concepts. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Now, Blessing, we know that the reality in today's world is that money, for better or worse, still makes the world go round. A lot of people in the audience here are currently in university. They're looking to the future. They're thinking about what career choices they should make. I'm wondering if you've seen examples in industry, in your work, whereby businesses, companies have been able to incorporate Industry 5.0 values, putting the worker first while also being able to make a profit. Have you seen examples where the two coexist?
A lot. And I think I should give the alternate example with a very popular company that we all know, Microsoft. So Microsoft recently fired a bunch of their HR people and decided to automate and use AI as the hiring tool. And their thought was that they were going to save money while doing this, right? What then happened was they spent way more money hiring software developers and engineers because they needed to keep the technology running. So in one way, they thought they would be saving money, but what then happened was they spent way more money, but in a different sector or industry. I really like what Gumina said. It's great to think about, like, a couple of jobs would be lost, but new jobs will be created. But really think about your industry. I personally do not think that you need to completely change your industry. If there's something that you're interested in, one of the examples I always make with my husband is, think about back then when secretaries had to write or take notes. What they would take notes with were typewriters, right? They would use typewriters. And then computers came and people thought, oh, they're going to lose their jobs. But if a lot of those secretaries had taken that extra step to learn how to use computers, the keyboards are the same, QWERTY keyboards. So if they had just taken that next step to learn how to use the computers, those who did actually retained their jobs and became better at doing their jobs. So yes, Industry 5.0 is a new or an advanced concept, but it's advanced within your context. It means that there's a particular tool right now in the photography space, and I'm not going to name names. What it does is you can upload a bunch of pictures, and you can identify what person it is and tell it exactly what you want it to do. And you just increase how much blemish it reduces and highlight that. And it does that for 100 other pictures. What is going to happen eventually is that the people who have embraced using technology for their work might become more preferred because they're faster, more efficient, and probably charge more. But because you've decided not to embrace continuous learning, you might be stuck and you might be hating on AI. How many of us use Canva here? Great. Back then, when Canva first came out, how many of us are, let me not say actual designers, but how many of us use Photoshop? Yeah, so I don't know how many of you in the audience, when Canva first came, you'd be like, you're not a real designer, you're a Canva user, and you hate on people who use Canva. How many people did that? Did anyone do that? It's like a Canva hater. Yeah, okay, 2 hands. There were a couple of people who were actual Canva haters, but guess what happened? Canva kept getting better and better, and started to make more people more efficient, and more people started to learn how to use it. But the best part is that the designers who learned how to use Canva will optimize their work, like things like background remover. You don't have to go on Photoshop and remove every single inch or pixel. You could remove on Canva and then come back to Photoshop and do something more important, right, with your time. And so think about Industry 5.0 from that perspective. There is currently a scientist in Africa right now. He's from Egypt, and I think he also lives in Morocco. He's doing something really fantastic in the oncology space, and it's called precision medicine. So what he does is, I don't know how many of you know much about how cancer treatments are administered, but there are a bunch of, they're not a lot, but there are a bunch of cancer treatments that currently exist, and people never really know which specific treatment your specific body will react to or will respond to. And what he's doing with his precision medicine is that he is using AI to study your body and then determining what best oncology treatment will be great for you. But a surgeon and a doctor, an oncologist makes that decision using the information that they have that they otherwise did not have access to. So that is a good example of how in your specific industries, you can just think about, how can I contextualize this? And so the advice here would be, embrace continuous learning, don't kick it, don't be scared of it. Figure out, how can I contextualize this particular technology to my specific industry or to the things that I'm interested in? How can I make my work faster, easier, better, and even more unique than other people are doing it? And that could be your opportunity, that could be your unique selling point, and that could set you apart from everyone else. So while people are losing jobs, people will be running after you with the money because you're more awesome.
And that's the aim, isn't it? Before I put this next question to you, Diana, can I just ask the audience, who here is from university, is currently studying right now?
Oh, nice.
So it's, okay, the majority of you. Who's just started their careers, early 20s, just started their jobs? Okay. So most people are currently studying. Diana, can I ask, because you obviously, your organization, X-Atoms, has very high-minded ideals. You know, you're looking to implement your business, your tech, in order to solve a pressing world issue, and that's clean drinking water. But is there a way, I'm guessing as well at some point you want to scale up and perhaps earn a living from doing that. And I'm wondering, for the people in our audience who are looking to start their careers in organizations where they can do good, be it NGOs or startups like yours, is there a way where young people can do both, where they can earn a living, perhaps make a comfortable life for themselves, while also addressing some humanitarian issues like you are?
Yeah. Actually, I want to share something I learned recently at a conference. So everyone in the audience, if you see a bottle of water next to you, could you please hold it up? Bottle of water.
A bottle of water?
Pick up bottle of water. So it's actually very interesting about AI, because every single time you ask a ChatGPT a prompt, you spend one bottle of water, half a liter, is basically spent. So that's very interesting. So be very responsible when using this. So we're basically creating good, but we are also using AI. So it's kind of a big paradox here. But something I wanted to say is just like always remember that AI is actually running on water, the cooling system. So coming back to talking about how we can make a living out of startups. So in my case, we focus on impact, obviously, but we also focus on like industrial scale applications in North America. So that's where we are generating our revenue. So if you want to have a revenue generating company, just you need to find ways, you need to find different revenue streams. So for us, it's two. So we have the North American one, and then we have the one in East Africa, where we are focused on more on like impact, just cutting the price of water as much as we can. My journey was, like being a startup founder is very difficult, especially if I have not had much of the previous like corporate experience. I was more going like from one internship directly to startups, and becoming like a CEO of company, now having like over 10 full-time employees. It's been a crazy ride. But I feel like because it was so challenging, I've learned so much throughout this process, and I've learned skills that I feel like I wouldn't be able to learn like a normal corporate job, because every single day is about solving problems, and there's just so many problems every day. Like you get an email, your mood just goes down, or like it's ups and downs. So being a startup founder, it's not for everyone. But if you want to have a challenging career, rewarding career at the same time, I would definitely recommend startup. Also depends where you're based. So I'm based in Canada. We have a lot of support for Canadian startups. There's a lot of good like VC funds that are supporting us. But my co-founder is actually Turkish. So that's been very interesting. He's been telling about like him being in Turkey and the difference in the VC funding here in Turkey compared to North America. But we actually, because of this, we actually even made hires from Turkey. So some of our employees at X-Atoms are from Turkey, because as a way to give back, and we really want to see here in Turkey more entrepreneurs building successful businesses.
Really good to hear. Gülmina, we know that as we heard from Blessing, a multi-trillion-dollar company like Microsoft is even looking to make cost savings by firing, HR professionals in favor of AI. I wasn't aware of that example, actually. And we are going to see more and more of that, aren't we? Where companies, big or small, are really going to test the limits of the new technology to see where they can save money at the expense of hiring a human worker. At the high levels of government, international organizations, how should they be addressing the emergence of things like AI technology? Because we know governments around the world have been slow to regulate social media, for example. Only now are they looking at regulations for that technology, and now we've got AI developing by the day. What, in your view, how should governments be looking to address this emerging technology of AI in order to ultimately focus on the human element?
Thank you very much. Actually, this is a very important issue because while we are using the technology, there should be the regulations, so ethical frameworks there. I guess policymakers should consider in the first place to provide responsible innovation, where there is R&D incentives, tax credits, public-private partnerships should be there to support businesses to make their solutions that implement in a productive way. The second one, we need to have living labs where businesses, where startups, where public institutions, they can test their innovative technologies, solutions in the test beds. And of course, all of this technological progress should be guided by ethics. So, because when the data is used, it doesn't matter for which purposes, we need to build their ethical frameworks. The second should be, I guess, smart regulation, not just over-regulation. Because when we are over-regulating the usage of the technology, if there is a restriction, so they will be also challenging on this. So in terms of the smart regulation, there are some best practices in the world, like regulatory sandboxes, which United Arab Emirates and the UK and a government level, they are creating this kind of test beds to test, to adapt the projects while it's before scaling up. So in Azerbaijan also we have just recently started this framework, but basically in the fintech, for the fintech companies. Then on the other hand, I guess there should be some as I mentioned before, the workforce development, specifically for large-scale upskilling and reskilling programs. We have just recently, as C4R Azerbaijan, started cooperation with Coursera company, which is well-known education platforms. So last year we have provided 10,000 free access for 6 weeks for 10,000 people. Specifically over 800 courses in the fourth industrial revolution technologies fields. From this year, our aim is to scale up for the bigger audience. We call it a nation program. So even we have within 4IR Academy project, we call it 4IR. So we also aiming to translate the courses in Azerbaijani language also in Coursera platform. So this is actually the direction for human capital development. On the other hand, I think that we need to also foster the sustainable industrial transformation. So policymakers or governments, they should transform the green values into their industrial policies. So for example, there is green transition funds that supports businesses to make their business easier, and circular economy incentives also can be here very helpful for the businesses. So these are the four directions I think the policymakers should consider while they regulate the technology implementation.
Excellent. Thank you, Gulmina. Blessing, I might give you the last word. We've just got a few minutes left. We're in a room full of very bright and talented young people from around the world. Most are currently studying. Some have just started their careers. What's your message to them in a time when there is so much uncertainty in terms of this emerging technology like AIs? Some people in the audience might be worried about their futures, their careers, what they might look like. What would be your final message to them about the future in light of all this?
Yeah, I think don't be scared, embrace it, embrace continuous learning. If you can spend 10 minutes or 15 minutes every single day learning something new about what is going on in the technology space as it relates to your industry, totally do that, because it's not going anywhere. We can't pray it away. We can't curse it away. We can't be scared of it and run away. We're responsible for what it would become in the future. Think about the fun applications, fun ways that people are using it all over the world. Right now in Japan, because of the aging population, they came up with exoskeletons that people could wear to climb mountains while doing tourism. And that is really fun. Imagine that you don't have to exert as much energy climbing the mountains that you really want to go to because of technology. So ask yourself, how can I make life easier? How can I do something better for the people that I care about while using my industry? If nothing was stopping me, what would be possible for me? I think the biggest hack here is to remember that the things you used to dream about, in fact, a lot of the lives that we're living right now are people's dreams. Many years ago, you had to write letters, and then it would take days and days for it to get delivered. But now, you can just send a message or an email, and someone in a different part of the world can see it. That is one of the powers of technology. So if something is bugging you, if there's something you've ever dreamt about, especially within your industry that you care about, ask yourself, if nothing was stopping me, if everything was possible, how would I make this happen? And continuous learning will empower you. Speak to your friends. One last thing. A lot of times we think about only learning the things that have to do with our industries, but move one step further and have conversations with other people who are doing very different things. In fact, gravitate to people who are doing things that are very different from you, because you don't know as a fashion person what you can learn from an architecture person. You don't know what you can learn from someone who is in software development. Have those type of conversations, build bridges, be open to learning, and you'll be shocked at the magic you'll create. And when you do, please tag me, tell me all about it, and say that this conference inspired you to do something amazing. Thank you so much.
What a great message. And that is an amazing message to end this session on. Can we please thank our wonderful guests, Blessing Abeng, Diana Vergovic-Chova, and Gulmina Malikzadeh. And thank you to all of you for participating in this opening session. I hope you enjoy the rest of the day. But can I now invite my dear friend and colleague, Jafar Hasnain, to introduce the next session for us. Jafar.
Thank you very much. Thanks a lot, Oscar.